Hello, good morning and welcome to Business News on Sunrise. Coming up this morning, Bank of Ghana's Monetary Policy Committee announces policy rate decision today as inflation rates declined unexpectedly in August to a 10-month low, easing pressure on the central bank to keep raising borrowing costs. Meanwhile, some economists project the central bank to maintain the policy rate of 30%.
Not much has changed, and therefore I don't expect them to drop the rate. My expectation would be for them to maintain the rate.
Plus, Ghana Tourism Authority hints of regulating Airbnb businesses as authority concludes MOU with platform operators.
I believe that by the end of the year, we'll have a properly regulated Airbnb space.
My name is Manu Afful. We'll bring you the details of the headlines and many other stories shortly. Thank you for staying with us. We'll start off with the Monetary Policy Committee of Bank of Ghana, which is expected to announce its decision on policy rate today. Headline inflation rate moderated to 40.1% in August from 43.1% in July amidst the cedi stability. This was unexpected as median estimate was 43.7%. The inflation rate declined in August to a 10-month low, easing pressure on the central bank to keep raising borrowing costs. The country's economy is growing at slowest pace as GDP expanded 3.2% in the second quarter. The median estimate for the second quarter was 3.3% economic expansion. Production was hampered by high inflation, fiscal and monetary tightening that have led to liquidity crunch. Meanwhile, ahead of the announcement of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana's Director of the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, Professor Peter Korte, is expecting that the policy rate will be maintained. This is despite an earlier projection by Fish Solutions that the policy rate would be reduced to 27.5% from the current 30%.
Not much has changed, and therefore I don't expect them to drop the rate. My expectation would be for them to maintain the rate. Exchange rate has been relatively stable. Inflation hasn't dropped over the past 2 or so months. It's increased marginally. Economy is not overheating too much unless there is some excess liquidity somewhere. So maintaining the rate wouldn't be a bad thing. Rather than, I don't expect them to increase their rate.
Still on the policy rate, the MPC began its quarterly meeting on September 18, 2023. Top on the agenda was the stabilization of the cedi and anchoring of inflation. Ahead of the announcement of a policy rate today, GCB Capital expects the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana to also maintain the policy rate at 30% for the rest of 2023. In recent years now, inflation figures have surged in countries around the world, largely due to unprecedented economic problems. The situation in Africa is not different and has even become more worrisome, posing challenges to governments, businesses, and citizens. Ghana is among the top 10 African countries with the highest food inflation rates, even as the central bank tries to manage the country's inflation.
Business Insider Africa has a list of the top 10 African countries with the highest inflation rate midway into 2023. Zimbabwe tops the list with 70.8% food inflation in August, followed by Egypt with 68.4% in July. Sierra Leone is at third position with 59.93% in July. Ghana is the fourth country with the highest food inflation rate on the continent at 51.9% in August. Burundi is at fifth position with 39.3% food inflation rate in August, followed by Malawi at sixth place with 39.4% in August, while Rwanda recorded food inflation rate of 30.8% in August to place seventh. The country with the eighth highest food inflation in Africa is Nigeria with 29.34% in August. Ethiopia with 27.3% in July makes it the ninth highest food inflation on the continent, while Gambia had 24.29% food inflation rate in July as the 10th country with the highest food inflation in Africa.
Away from that, the Ghana Tourism Authority has indicated that it would soon conclude processes to regulate the operations of Airbnb in the country. CEO of the authority, Akwesi Ajimang, stated that this has become necessary to standardize the operation of all players in the hospitality industry.
We've been heavily engaged with Airbnb. They've responded to our advances to make sure that those within the Airbnb space, which is also a very critical space within our industry, are properly regulated and that more people can benefit from putting up their facilities and houses on the Airbnb platform. But like we all know, every country has its own rules, and so we've engaged with them, they've responded, they've shared some insights on how they have done it with other countries. And so we are very close to signing the final MOU with them in the month of October. And I believe that by the end of the year, we'll have a properly regulated Airbnb space. So far, they have admonished or called upon their establishments, those who are on their platforms, to engage with the tourism authority to register, to make sure that they have the basic health and safety requirements in place. So far, so good.
You heard the voice of Akwesi Ajimang, CEO of Ghana Tourism Authority. In more stories, the Minister of Energy, Dr. Matthew Poku-Prempeh, has observed the passage of Renewable Energy Act and development of Renewable Energy Master Plan are some measures put in place to achieve climate change goals with respect to the Paris Agreement. He made this known through his representative at the 2023 AGI Ghana Industrial Summit and Exhibition themed Industrialization through Sustainable and Efficient Supply Chain.
Ghana strives to be one of the leaders on the African continent in terms of achieving climate change goals pursuant to the climate or the Paris Agreement. Even before Ghana became a signatory to the Paris Accord, the country had already started initiatives. We have already instituted a zero gas flaring policy in our oil fields. 2, the decision to move from liquid fuel powered thermal power plants to natural gas powered thermal plants have also already commenced. 3, the passage of the Renewable Energy Act and the development of the Renewable Energy Master Plan to add 1,350 megawatts of renewable capacity to the energy stock.
Minister of Energy, Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh there. Now take a listen to how the city is faring against major trading currencies and how some of our key commodities are faring on the global market.
On the interbank foreign exchange market, where banks trade amongst themselves, the dollar recorded no price change and it is selling at 11 cedis 8 pesos. The British pound lost 17 pesos, selling at 13 cedis 58 pesos. The euro lost 8 pesos and it is selling at 11 cedis 81 pesos. However, be guided that these figures will be higher at a forex bureau near you. On the global commodities market, price of cocoa is down by 0.36%, selling at $3,582 per ton. Brent crude oil is down by 0.03%, selling now at about $93 per barrel, while the price of an ounce of gold is up by 0.27%, selling at about $1,925.
That was an update from the Forex and Commodities markets. That will be all for Business News on Sunrise. For more business stories, please check out our website, 3news.com. I am Manu Afful. Stay tuned. Sports News is up next.